Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today. Today's class is specifically yin yoga to soothe anxiety and stress. And particularly today, we're going to be working with some new variations to poses that you can experiment with, see if you like these new alternatives. So we're going to be working a little bit starting with the front of the body and also ending with the front of the body, and then doing quite a lot of work on the legs, on different muscles of the legs. So I hope you enjoy this, these new variations, and of course always experimenting, trying them out, and if you like them, then you can add them to your preferred sequence. Okay, so now slowly opening your eyes, and let's move to today's first posture, which is the wide-legged child's pose. So of course, sitting on your heels. Remember, you can always sit on a block if it's uncomfortable to sit on your heels. And then from here, we have two options. The first option is simply extending the arms out and the head comes down onto the mat or onto a block. And the other option I want to propose to you today to try is actually to get a bolster and place a bolster. And you're actually going to put your arms onto the bolster. You can experiment where you put them. Just being aware that this will increase the compression in your shoulders. So if you find this too much, of course, please move off the position. But it could give you a different type of stretch. So I put it sort of where my elbows are, and then just relax the head down. So see how that goes. See if you like that. As I said before, it can be quite intense in terms of the compression on the shoulders. So if you find that too much, of course, please move out. So slowly going into that pose. Head coming down, and then just relaxing. As your elbows are raised a little bit more, of course, that intensifies the stretch from the elbows to the armpits. Just relax there. Just allowing the body to slowly move into a comfortable position. You don't have to move a lot. If you find you need to move, of course, please do so, or try to do so at the beginning. So we can get into that marinating option, as Bernie Clark talks about. When you're in this pose, you're in the yin pose, you come until you find sort of natural limits of the body, and then just relax there. The key being, once you've found that optimal stretch, not too much and not too little, then you just resolve to remain still and observe the body. So here, of course, the also nice deep hip opening.
A deep stretching, warming up of the shoulders.
Now really, really slowly push yourself up. Bring your knees together if that's comfortable for you. And let's just rest here for a minute. Just feeling that whole sensation of the front of the body. Particularly for the shoulders, it's very good. It could feel quite intense. When you feel this feeling of tenderness, just relax into it and notice it. Okay, so now let's move to the next pose, which is where I have a new variation here as well. And this one is the Sphinx. So of course we all know the Sphinx and the different variations, simply lying on the mat. The simplest being simply just lying with your head on your hands or your head, your forehead on the mat, or else bringing your elbows in front of you or your elbows underneath your shoulders, or even cupping your chin in your hands. But this time, the variation I'm going to propose to those of you who are interested in experimenting, this would be going towards the wall and bring your legs up against the wall where your knees are against the wall, basically. I hope you can see. Yeah, so your knees are up against the wall. And then from here, just settle yourself in. And just as usual, trying to relax the lower back. And just noticing the effect specifically on the lumbar spine. You will feel perhaps a stronger sensation in the lumbar spine, the lower back. As long as it feels like a nice compression, there's no pain, then continue there. If, of course, you feel, for example, if one of your feet starts falling asleep or you get pins and needles in it, of course you could move it around, but if that continues, of course, move down, adapt. And otherwise, just relax into this new variation if you're here. If you find it too much to be up, as I am here, of course you can bring your chin into your hands, or you can come a little bit further down. Remember, always adjusting for your own body to find what works best for you. And then here, of course, once again, connecting with your breath. Noticing the movement of the abdomen. Inhaling. As you inhale, noticing the abdomen moving outwards, down into the mat. Exhaling, moving inwards. So if you're at the wall, just bring yourself slowly down with your head. And if you'd like a complete break for your lumbar spine, simply move yourself away from the wall, lying on your stomach and relaxing. You can bring the big toes together
Bring your head, your forehead onto the mat. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms. And if you did the new variation, just noticing how that feels for your lumbar spine. Just sensations. It's always interesting to notice the reaction of the body and often the reaction of the mind before we even go into the pose. Sometimes there's a certain resistance or fear to go into the pose, which already creates a certain tension in the area that we need to relax. So just being aware of that. Because of course sometimes the body needs to protect, but other times we have to move through that fear just to experiment. Turn your head to the other side. If you had your cheek on one side, turn it to the other side. Continue relaxing. Okay, so let's slowly move to a seated position. And from here we're going to move into the shoelace. So just to remind you of the different options, of course, remember the shoelace option, for example. So this is actually the deer, for those of you who don't want to do, let me just show you the reclining. So the easiest option for this would be to come lying on your back. This is particularly for people who don't have open hips. And then we're going to start with the left leg. So bring the left leg onto the right knee and either staying here or bringing the knee towards the chest. So this is the gentlest on the knee and the most accessible for people that don't have their hips very open. And the other option would be to come with the left leg parallel to the front of the mat and the right leg behind you. So this is actually what we call the deer, so the deer in headlights. And from here we're going to move down into the reclining deer. So here, whether you're doing the reclining version or you are moving as I am, it is working on the glutes of the left leg. The important thing here is the back leg can be straight, the back leg can be bent. It depends on you, it depends on your body. So wherever you are, just experimenting with that. And then of course also moving the knee. So you can move your knee inwards, you can move it outwards to find basically where you get the nicest stretch in the glute muscles. So whichever variation you've chosen here, just going into it gently, just always being very, very mindful of the knee. So as I said, the knee doesn't have to be, your leg doesn't have to be parallel. Your foot, you can move your foot around just to get the good feeling in your knee. So there's no sense of pain, of definitely no pain, but you get that nice stretch in the glutes. So also I find what I always suggest is if you're in this position, always move around with your torso So move around until you find a nice stretch. So that depends, it depends where your torso is. And I also find that my torso, the position of my torso is different depending on which side. So when I'm on my left side, the left leg forward, I think I find more, it helps if I'm more over the left leg like this. So I get more of a stretch. Whereas when I'm on the other side, the torso is in a different position. And that can depend on, it can depend on the day. It can depend on what you've been doing during the day. So it's not always exactly the same. Because of course our body changes all the time. What we've eaten, what we've drunk, what exercise we've done, what the weather's like, how much we've slept, what type of exercise we've done, if we've been walking a lot, for example, if we've been doing a lot of running, that could make the knee feel more tender. So all these, just keep these in mind, just to remind yourself always with the yin practice that it's in constant change. So it's always reminding us of the effervescent nature of the world around us, basically, of which we are a microcosm. So there's always this change going on, which we notice in the body. And we reflect on and observe, and most of all accept. No judgment or frustration that, for example, one side is tighter than the other one. Of course, with the frustration comes tension, and the idea here is to move into releasing tension within the mind and the body, as well as the emotions. Okay, so wherever you are, if you were lying down, simply straighten your leg. And if you were moving forward into the sleeping swan, just move yourself onto your left hip and then slowly straighten your legs and relax there with your legs out. Just noticing the rebound in this pose, how it feels. Okay, so from here, I'm going to show you the next pose, which is the half frog. And the half frog, there are two variations. The one that is most accessible would be simply to lie down to do the reclining version. So I'm going to show you that one first. And for that one, you would need the belt. So if you'd like to just watch me, I will demonstrate the two variations, and then you can decide which one you like the most. So the variation one would be lying down with both legs bent, and straighten the left leg, wrap the belt around it, and then simply allow that leg to fall out to the side. So the left leg's falling out to the side. This is a really nice, great adductor stretch, so the groin muscles are stretched here. So that's option one. That is the one I recommend for those who find the second version challenging. So that's version one. And then version two, come onto your heels as if you're in a Caesar position. And then from here, straighten out your left leg. And what I like to do is just working around so you can sort of find where it's comfortable to be. If it's comfortable to be on your heel with your left leg, you can move around your hips. You can move your hips forward. You can move your hips back. I would recommend definitely being on top of the mat. If the top of your foot feels uncomfortable, then of course change that. Put a blanket under there, for example, and then you can move forward. And what I do is I recommend moving, sort of leaning onto your elbow, or you can lean onto your hand depending on your flexibility or how easy you find it. I always recommend starting off slowly, of course, to see how that feels. If it feels okay, we can eventually be leaning onto the elbow. And here, feeling a really nice stretch in the adductors here, so the groin muscles here. And then once you're there, once you've found that stretch, then just hang out there. Perhaps at the beginning you won't feel much, but after 5 minutes, I can assure you, you will feel something. You'll feel some type of stretch in the groin muscles. If you feel nothing, remember you can always move that foot around. You can move your hips forward, off your heels, off your back heel to find that stretch. So the stretch, you should be really getting into the adductors there. And if you are doing the reclining version, of course you will definitely also be feeling that. The key is to relax. And just enjoying how deeply we can get into those muscles. Just in this position, from this position. And if you place your head on your hands, so if you sort of lean onto one side, you can also intensify the stretch a little.
Of course, as I said before, moving the hips forward a little bit can also intensify the sensations. So remember, this can be quite an intense stretch if it's the first time you've tried it. So if you find it too intense, always moving out if it becomes too much. And perhaps trying the other version when we come to the other side. Other variation using the belt. Of course, if you're lying down, slowly bringing your leg up, bend it and take away the belt and straighten out. And if you are leaning forward as I am, just slowly coming up, straightening the leg. I'm sure you can feel it now. And everybody, let's just come lying down and relaxing. Just notice all the sensations. So first of all, we are working on the outside of the leg, and then we worked on the inside of that left leg. Okay, so let's move now to the other side. So now we need to do the right side. So remember, we have the option of the reclining shoelace, where now this time we're going to bring the right foot on top of the left knee and then bring that towards the chest. That's for those of you who enjoy this or find this more accessible. Otherwise, coming to a position where you have the right knee in front and this time the left knee is behind. So remember, with the left knee, it doesn't really matter what happens with the back leg. The important thing is what happens with the glute muscles in the right leg. So we can have the leg bent or we can have it straight. Depends on you, it depends on your body. And once you've found the position that works for you, remember what I'd said about the torso. So moving your torso around to find, moving your torso and your knee around to find that nice glute stretch in your right glute area. And then moving down.
Sometimes we find the second side is more open. Sometimes it feels like the body has just got ready for it. It's easier to come in. Or it could be that there's more tension there. Just always easing into it and relaxing. If you find your attention is wandering, of course, always coming back to the breath. So now really slowly, wherever you are, straighten your leg. If you are in the reclining pose, come up very slowly. If you have moved forward, move onto your right hip and then slowly straightening the legs. And let's also come lying down just to relax that area. Okay, so now let's move now into your version, your preferred version for the frog, for the half frog. So if you didn't like the second version, of course, remember, you can always do it with the lying down and placing the belt over your leg, your right leg this time, and allowing the leg to fall to one side. So that was the first variation. And then the second one, of course, would be now coming seated. So you're going to be seated on your left leg with the right leg extended and moving into where you can find that stretch. I like to play around a little bit with the position of your hip, so you can move your heel around until you find that deep stretch. And then just remaining still. So initially this was a pose that I always avoided. I always did the version with a belt. But what you can do is, if you find this too intimidating, you could start with sort of 2 or 3 minutes and then come out. Of course, if it's accessible for you, always. Because sometimes these poses look impossible, but if we start slowly, we actually find that they can work for our body. And then just sort of build up slowly. Of course, always moving into the version with a belt, if that one is more accessible to you. A nice deep stretch into the inside of that leg. Whereas before we were working into the outside of the right leg. And so wherever you are, straightening your leg if you are in the reclining version, otherwise pushing yourself up so you can come to a position where we are going to lie down. Now, after we've been working on those two sides. So lying down and just relaxing, noticing how that feels to have done both sides. So you should feel quite a lot of warmth and energy and movement of the tissues in that area. Remember, we are stressing what we call stressing the connective tissue, that deep tissue, particularly around the joints. So it could feel quite intense. So just relaxing and noticing. Okay, so if you'll come to a seated position, we're going to end with a pair, the last pair of poses, which is the broken wing, where we'll be here on each side for 3 minutes. So this is, in this pose, we are working the sort of the front part, this part of the shoulder. So I'm going to show you from different perspectives so you can see the different ways you can adapt it. So the first thing I would recommend is a block for your head. And then from here, I'm just going to show you, first of all, lying on my right hip, and then I will shift so you can see it from the other side. So lying on my right hip, bringing my arm out behind me. I will show you later how we can adapt that. See that I have my knees bent. I can have one leg up like that, depends on you. And I come down from here and then shift my hips. I can bring one leg up like this. Yeah, so this is from lying on my right hip. I'm now just going to show you so you can see it from the other perspective. And then also just to remember, when I have my arm out, the palm can be facing downwards, it can be facing upwards. And then I'm also going to show you a different variation. So this is lying on my left hip. I can have my arm out, extended like this. And then if you feel like you'd like a little bit more stretch, you can bring the other arm round and clasp it like that. I really like this. It gives you the opportunity to really open that front area as well. Okay. So for this one, we're just going to be here for 3 minutes. It is quite intense, but it's fantastic. Just to finish and to really open up the front of the body. So we're going to be doing this for 3 minutes. So I'm going to be on my right side and then I'll join you on the left side. So bring that hand round. Of course, if that's not comfortable for you, just simply having your right arm behind you and palm facing up, palm facing down. Just see what works for you. And then shifting your weight back onto your hips. And just feeling how the front of your chest really opens up. So now really slowly push yourself up and then come lying on your stomach in the rebound pose. Straighten out your legs, relax the arms, relax the shoulders, especially that right shoulder. Just noticing the stimulation in that area. Okay, so let's move now to the other side. So this time it would be lying on your left hip with the left arm extended. So finding, first of all, the block, always the block first for the head, and then getting comfortable. Remember the position of the arm. The position of the palm can be up or down. Depends what feels good for you. And then also, if it's accessible for you, bringing that arm over. The right arm now and clasping. the left arm. the left hand. I'm just enjoying opening up the front of the body, and of course we also, if you have your arms over, if you have your hands clasped, it's also pushing the shoulder blades together, which is a great relief for the shoulder blades. So slowly bringing yourself round, bringing your torso up, and then slowly lying on your back. And we'll just be here in the rebound before we move into the final relaxation. So just relaxing the front of your body. So for now, if you'd like to just grab a blanket and switch off the light if you'd like to do that, to move gently into the final relaxation. Get comfortable, perhaps a pillow for your head or a pillow underneath your knees with the knees bent. Whatever feels good for you, whatever feels right for you now. And let's just start this relaxation with just 3 deep breaths. So if you'd like to take a deep inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, inhale through the nose, Exhale through the mouth. And let the last one be extra big breath. Inhale through the nose. Feel the lungs expand and exhale through the mouth. And then just feel the whole body relaxing. And as we've been working, we've just finished on the upper part of the body. Just bring the attention to the chest cavity. And just noticing the movement of your ribs, beating of your heart. Notice sensations in the front of your chest after that deep stretching. Relax the forearms, the elbows, the wrists and the hands and the fingers. And move up your throat into the face. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyes and your forehead. Just move your attention to that space at the back of your eyes and between the back of your eyes and the back of your skull. And just allow your awareness just to rest there. And from there, just send a feeling of relaxation throughout your body. Just allowing your whole body to feel heavy and relaxed. The tension melting away. So now let's start slowly waking up the body, moving fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, whatever movement you feel like. And then bend your knees, bend your elbows, bring your knees towards your chest, give yourself a nice hug, perhaps rock from side to side. And then whenever you're ready, allow your knees to fall to one side and push yourself into a seated position. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed those new variations of the poses and you managed to experiment with a few of them. And thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful Sunday evening, and see some of you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.